Hello everyone, welcome to my first Langrisser Mobile video. This is going to be a short video just to cover the Ancient Beckoning boss Sleipnir and what I did in terms of my setup to get an S rank. As you can see, I'm currently the number 2 ranked on the Rocky Valley server. And as you can see here, my formation is Altemuller, Leon, Imelda, Olivier, Iris, and Luna with this power 36,897. And so I'm going to go into my team, which is probably not the team that most people are using. If I just go through the leaderboards here quickly, you can see, well, you have a standard 5, which is usually Altemuller, Luna, Olivier, Iris, and Leon. The 6th is what usually varies between different people. So Method, the top ranked player, he uses Lanford. Zanson here used Liana, and Elwyn actually, instead of Altemuller. And so on and so forth. If you go down the list, you'll see here's another Lanford, Emmerich, Bernhardt. Bernhardt's usually the most common character for a lot of people, or Liana for tanking purposes, but I'm going to cover my team, which uses Imelda. And I probably have one of the strongest Imeldas on global, and I have her maxed out, and she was actually my secret weapon for this fight. And I'll go into my setup now and talk about how I went about this fight. So as you can see here, I have the exact setup that I used for the fight to get my S. You can see the power of 36,897 matches exactly what I had on the leaderboards. So first we'll go over Altemuller, who is in the top left spot, which is the default target for Sleipnir in the odd phase. He is using phalanxes, and his skills are Raging Thunder, Reinforcement, and Strong Arm. I'll preface by saying that this is generally a very safe setup for my team, and I'm erring on the side of survivability and durability over maximum damage output. So this team is actually very safe, and I got to S without really breaking much of a sweat. It took me until phase 7 before my team died. But yeah, I had very little problem surviving until then. So, okay, Altemuller, he has these skills, as I mentioned. I do have a 6-star Altemuller. His enchants are, I would say, average to above average. I don't spend that much on enchants, generally speaking. So his stats are probably above average for a 6-star, but not great. He has a steel set, and his bonds are maxed except for only a level 7 heart bond. So he's using the Amulet, not Spirit Boots, so he cannot move after attacking, which means during even phases he basically contributes no damage, but that's not his job in the even phase. His job is to cover the hunted target as is necessary. The Amulet gives him greater survivability in the odd phases. So he does have his unique helmet, and he's using Last Night as his weapon, and Last Rites as his armor, obviously. Okay, so next is Leon. Leon, I have a 6-star Leon. His enchants are pretty high, his attack, I think. He's using Blue Star, that's why this deployment number is a little bit low, but I couldn't really afford to re-enchant an entire new set for him. But anyway, he's 6 stars, he's fully bonded. He's using Chivalry, Attack, Break, and Smash. His armor is Aeolus, but that doesn't really matter. He has a Vampire Mask, and he has a Slayer Emblem. And what else did I want to say? Yes, he's using Bats. I would use Royal Cavalry, but my flyer training is significantly better. I have maxed core attack for flyers, so I'm using Bats. And he's pretty straightforward. This is his standard set. You could run, if you're feeling a little more dangerous, you could run Assault instead of Chivalry. That gives him more damage output. You just have to run the risk of him being hunted and having to basically spend a turn not attacking during the even phases. Okay, so next is... I'll go to Imelda last, actually. So I'll go to Olivier next. I have a 5-star Olivier. I believe his bonds are 7 for everything. I think so, 7 on the 4 and 5 bonds. I'll double check and I'll confirm in the description. But 7 for bonds 4 and 5 and 7 heart bond. He's using sorceresses because my Holy Mage training is higher than my Archer training. That's really the only difference. There's no... All else being equal, there's no real difference between using sorceresses and Sky Archers. I think the sorceresses have higher damage output, but you're more likely to inflict defense down on the boss. So it kind of evens out. Also, Sky Archers can help you reposition better during even phases because Sky Archers let Olivier move around over these rocks, basically. So his skills are the 3 skills that you probably know at this point that you need for this fight: Aim, Roaring Bomb, and Excitation. Okay, let's do Luna next. Luna, I have 6 stars, and she is fully bonded except for her attack bond is at level 1 because it's not necessary. She's using Holy Pegasus and Wind Spiral, Move Again, Raging Thunder. Nothing much to write home about. The only significant difference between my Luna and maybe yours is that I have the Tree of Life enchant on her, and for me, I think that is the most cost-effective enchant for both PvE and PvP because it still gives her magic defense boosts, but it also helps protect the team more, and so she's actually giving 5% extra defense to the entire team, or well, to allies within 2 blocks of her, which again will help Altemuller survive. Okay. Iris. Pretty standard. Oh, well, not standard, because actually I use both of her teleport skills. And the reason I can afford to is because I have Imelda, which I'll get to next. But yeah, she's using Holy Knights to up her healing. Her bonds, I believe, are also at 7. 7 for bonds 4 and 5 and 7 heart. Again, I'll have to double check that. It might be a little lower. In any case, she's using Olver Staff because on the off chance that she actually does attack, she can proc a damage taken up debuff on the boss. And for the same reason, she's using Charon on as her helmet. Charon also is the helmet that lets you proc a damage taken up debuff within 3 blocks. She has Teddy Bear, well, not Teddy Bear, she has the Jugler Plushy, which is the same thing as her accessory. This lets her teleports last 1 turn longer each, so that's pretty important. Oh, I didn't go over the equipment for Olivier and Luna. Olivier has Last Rites. I don't think Last Rites is actually necessary for him because he has fairly decent survivability and you can always boost his HP if necessary. He has a King's Crown, I think Slayer's Emblem, and Extreme Magic Bow, but the weapon doesn't really matter here. If you don't have a King's Crown, I actually recommend the SR Performer Mask, because if you position him closer to the boss, he can proc an attack down debuff, which is important because you want to stack both the attack down and the damage dealt down debuffs to help you survive. That's for a similar reason. That's why I'm running Attack Break on Leon. And as I mentioned, Altemuller has Last Night. And then Luna has her standard Curse Lance. My set is double Twilight for her armor and helmet, which is, you know, not her ideal set for damage. So my Luna is probably actually weaker than a lot of 6-star Lunas. And yeah, she has Veil of Light for accessory. Okay, finally, Imelda. So my Imelda is completely maxed because she's one of my main heroes for PvP. She is in her Holy class because she can use Gift of Eternal Life, which lets her heal herself after attacking. And that's very important because she takes a lot of damage when she attacks, but she will survive if you max the Holy Light Protection tech for Holy Mage Demon. So she actually deals very good damage. Her level 7 Bond ability as Holy actually increases her damage dealt in battle, so despite her low intelligence, she can contribute, definitely. And of course, she's running Mass Heal and Regrowth, which means she'll heal the entire team once you position her to attack. Furthermore, she's equipped with her gorgeous red lipstick, which of course gives you a damage up boost that is stackable on top of things like King's Crown. And she can give it to your main attackers, who are Leon and Luna, depending on her position. And finally, for her accessory, I use Eye of the Beholder because you want as many and as frequent damage and attack debuffs on Sleipnir as possible, as many of them as possible. So that's basically my team. I'm not going to run through the fight itself because, you know, it would just take a really long time. But basically, on odd phases, you want to start with Dolly. You want to use Dolly on Iris so she can have a passive heal every turn. And then basically you just set up your attackers and you set up Altemuller to tank the hits as is necessary. Just make sure that everyone is at full health in the first phase. I mean, in the odd phases, so that you don't get careless and have Sleipnir target someone that you don't want targeted on with his first skill. This is Grind, I think. Yeah, Grind. And then Altemuller tanks Trample. And that's pretty much all there is to say about the first, sorry, I keep saying first, the odd phases. I would use Olivier to cast Roaring Bomb for both Grind and Trample. So Olivier is going to cast Roaring Bomb on the first turn, always. And similarly, when it cycles back around, also on the first turn. And then Excitation on the second turn to increase your mobility, because on the third turn, you need to get out of the way to prevent him from using Gravity Field. Now, the other thing I should mention is in the odd phases, Altemuller should always be attacking. And that's for two reasons. One, you don't really need Strong Arm as long as you manage your party's HP correctly. Even if you have someone who ends up not at 100% HP, you can position that person next to Altemuller and he will still guard them due to the passive from Strong Arm. He should always be attacking, and that's because he always needs Raging Thunder up to decrease his damage taken. And every time he attacks, he has Last Night equipped, so there's a chance for him to decrease Sleipnir's attack, which is very important to survive starting in phase 3. Additionally, starting in phase 3, you should use, well, I'd use Iris's teleport skill, the ally teleport skill. I would use it on Altemuller because Altemuller will then take 20% reduced damage for 2 turns, which is a 10% upgrade from Olivier's talent, which is what you would normally rely on. So that actually improves his survivability even more, and because I have him equipped with an Amulet and Steel Enchant, he's very tanky. He can easily survive phase 5 even, using this strategy. Yeah, with no problems. So on even phases, like I said, the only difference, well, the only significant thing that I'd like to point out here compared to other strategies you've seen is that Altemuller will not be attacking at all, except when the boss is stunned. What you'll do is you'll now switch to using Strong Arm and using him to cover targets that are being hunted by Sleipnir. So this keeps your other characters' health up so they can attack without having to be healed or having to heal, because Altemuller is never going to be attacking. So it's much easier to just let him take as many hits as possible and then heal with Iris when necessary. Furthermore, because Iris has both her teleport skills, she can easily get herself out of the way with Dolly, or an ally out of the way with Le Jardin. Especially Imelda. If Imelda is caught on the wrong side of the boss due to his warping ability, she can just teleport Imelda off to safety. And let's see if I forgot anything else. Yeah, but that basically covers my strategy for this fight. It does require specific gear. I did mention a number of items that you probably should have in order to make this as foolproof as possible. Fortunately, I had all these items, but for example, if you don't have a second last rites for Olivier, that might get a little dicey if he's not as built up. Obviously, last rites is mandatory on Altemuller if you plan to use him. And Imelda really does need Gift of Eternal Life to survive properly in this fight. And she has to be in her holy class for this to happen. So I guess technically you could, well, no, scratch that. Let's just say, yeah, just keep her in holy. This is the safest, the absolute safest team composition that I could come up with. Because for these fights, I usually err on the side of caution and I try to live for as long as possible. Which means it's not really great for leaderboarding. I think this is good enough. It's not really great for leaderboarding, but I have managed to S every fight so far. And this is probably actually my strongest faction combination for these fights. So yeah, I was able to, well, I can just go over my other teams quickly for the other fights that have been released so far. For Needhog, I actually used Flyer Narm as one of my units, and that can be the topic for another video at some point. My Fenrir team was pretty standard. Oh, it's a little bit different because a lot of people use Lana here. There are quite a few Sophias, but they usually use Lana instead of Altemuller, but I was just having too much trouble keeping Lana alive from like random critical hits, so I actually kicked her out and I kept Altemuller, which let me get this score, you know, like significantly higher than the threshold for S. Mylana's 5 stars, so she's not that great. Anyway, but yeah, this is a Sleipnir video, so that is mostly what I have to say about it. I will put the details, all the details of the setup in the description, just so you can follow along. And yeah, so this is my first Langrisser Mobile video. I've been playing since launch, and hopefully I'll be able to make more in the future. Thanks for watching.